Hey guys, JV here with the first episode of my new series, Journey to Andromeda. We're exactly 1 month away from the release of the next Mass Effect, which means it's finally time to carve through all of the info that's been shared by BioWare. Every other day right now, probably more frequently towards launch, I'll be uploading a video highlighting a specific feature of the game, such as squadmates, combat, multiplayer, story, and much more. Also, this channel will be flooded with Andromeda videos after release. I'm talking streamed playthroughs daily, tips and tricks guides, just a ridiculous amount of content. So if that's something you're interested in, you're really excited for Andromeda, be sure and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. A good starting point for this series, I believe, is the main story. We're going to do a little bit of analysis on what's been released so far based on 2 story-centric cinematic trailers. Keep in mind I'm making this video with what I have right now on February 21st. If any new info comes out before the game releases, I will update in the comments below, or if I get something wrong and it's actually corrected after the fact, I will update in the comments below. We're going to start out with the cinematic reveal trailer that was released on N7 Day, which is linked in the description below if you haven't seen it yet. We're going to talk about some very basic facts that we know about the Andromeda story. First off, we know that Andromeda begins between the events of Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 in the year 2185. Of course, the story centers around the Andromeda Initiative, which is a program backed by the Citadel Council races that'll be the humans, the Turians, the Solarians, and the Asari. The reason the Andromeda Initiative is happening is because of the Reapers. The Reaper threat, they know, these are backed by people that do believe the Reapers. Of course, between 2 and 3, there is some skepticism, but once 3 hits, everyone knows the Reapers are there. But this is backed by people that believe the Reapers are a threat, so their job is to launch this initiative to send colonists to another galaxy, the Andromeda Galaxy, to find a new home. In terms of traveling to the Andromeda Galaxy, each of the 4 races sends 20,000 of their species on an arc for their race. And because Andromeda is so far away, but still is the closest galaxy that they could go to, this is a 600-year journey, which means all of the people on board need to be in cryosleep as they travel, at light speed, however fast it is, to make it 600 years. So 600 years passes, that's a lot of time. Each of these arcs has a pathfinder for their specific race. So this person has extreme experience in exploration and combat, some kind of leadership experience. They are the ultimate badass. I mean, in order to be a pathfinder, that's entrusting the future of species in that person's hands. So the pathfinder is going to be a very important person. Once the arcs arrive, they're supposed to help build the Nexus, which you can kind of think of this as a citadel. It's actually modeled after the Citadel. We'll talk more about the Nexus in another video, but that is the goal. We do know through developer comments and other sort of hints that the arcs arrive at different times. Specifically, the human arc seems to arrive after some of the other arcs. We don't know why that's the case. I'm sure that's something that will be revealed in a future trailer, or maybe they'll save that for the actual release of the game. Nonetheless, our protagonist is Ryder, and you can choose a male or female and completely customize the way they look. What you're seeing is just the default. So the male version of Ryder is Scott Ryder, the female version is Sara Ryder. I want to go more in depth with these characters closer to release as we get more info, but they are described as inexperienced Alliance recruits, and whoever you don't choose as your character to play as, that other character, so if I choose Scott and Sarah's the other one, that character actually plays a role in the game. It's not like they don't exist. They both coexist in the universe regardless of who you choose to play. Their father, Alec Ryder, is humanity's pathfinder. He is that badass with a ton of experience who humanity can trust to create a colony and start, building a settlement in another galaxy. So this guy is completely equipped to handle that. He is the humanity's pathfinder. The name of humanity's arc, the ship that they travel to Andromeda on, is called Arc Hyperion. And on this arc, we know of 2 squadmates that will be with us. Cora Harper is number 1. She's the second in command to Alec Ryder, so she's very, very high up there on the command chain. She's a biotic specialist. We know, again, a little bit more about her, but I want to go more in depth as we get more information. The other human squadmate is Liam Costa, who is a security expert and an optimist, apparently. So he's another squadmate that's also coming with us to Andromeda on Arc Hyperion. We also know about SAM, which is an acronym for an AI that can communicate with everyone on the team through implants. So that's going to be kind of the Edie of Andromeda, if I had to guess. Hopefully they don't just try to copy Edie with a male version called Sam. We'll have to see. From this first trailer that you've been watching on a loop, we know that something happens where Scott or Sara, depending on who you chose, becomes the Pathfinder. That means something happens to Alec Ryder, their father. We know that for sure. That's been reiterated over and over. And we know as the player, as the protagonist, we're going to be the Pathfinder, but we also have this preliminary info where Alec Ryder is already the Pathfinder. So something will happen to Father Ryder. We don't know what it is yet. Now we're moving on to information in the second cinematic trailer, which has a lot more. I mean, there wasn't a lot to go on with the first trailer. That was a lot of general information, but here we have a lot more information. Link in the description below once again if you haven't watched it yet. In this one, we discover that humanity's goal on the arc, probably all of the arcs, doesn't matter what the race is to identify golden worlds. These are places where humanity can create a settlement and actually start building their race outside of the Milky Way. The name Habitat 7 is dropped by Alec Ryder. This is described as New Earth. So I think we can assume that Habitat 7 is going to be a main focus in Andromeda if it is indeed New Earth. Maybe we'll discover that this is not a good place for New Earth and that'll change. But as it stands now, Habitat 7 is a central point for us. We're going to go there. We're going to discover something about it for humanity with Arc Hyperion. In this trailer, Alec Ryder is narrating and he lets us know that the Arc Hyperion is marooned, which means stranded, and the power is running out. And if the power runs out, people will die. Clearly something has gone wrong with Arc Hyperion. We don't know what it is. We don't know if this is connected to Alec Ryder's death or, you know, him not being involved in the story anymore, because again, we do become the Pathfinder. These are all speculative ideas, but something very wrong goes wrong with Arc Hyperion, and I guess we'll have to find out what that is. Regardless of what happens, we know that the main squad makes it out of there because we have the rest of the game to play, right? So they make it out of there somehow, and afterwards at some point we have this little cutscene in the trailer where Ryder and the rest of the crew runs into the Ket, which are a brand new race, an Andromedan race, right? That's only here, as we know. We run into them accidentally, it seems. Seems like Ryder accidentally runs into them, like Independence Day style, if you've seen that. You know, Will Smith in the ship, they run into, you know, Jeff Goldblum, you guys know. During this encounter, we run into the Archon, which is some sort of antagonist. He definitely threatens Ryder and the rest of the Tempest crew. He could be a potential leader of the Ket, or maybe some kind of radical sect of the Ket. We don't really know, but he certainly is an antagonist, and Ryder refers to this figure as the Archon right after we meet him. So he certainly is someone we're going to be fighting against. At this moment, we don't know why that is, what the main conflict is, if they just want to kill Ryder and humanity, whatever it may be. Maybe it's a colonialism thing. They just don't want other species trying to colonize their galaxy. We don't know yet, but we do have a small clip actually from the first trailer where it appears like the Archon has captured Ryder and another squad mate, maybe the entire squad, and says, "Now I know why you are special." So there's something going on here. It's just, we don't know yet. We don't have the details yet. In the second trailer, we meet another new race that we've never seen before called the Angaran, and they look very interesting, almost like a cross between a Drell and a Twi'lek from Star Wars. I mean, it really looks interesting, almost fish-like. And we also know through a series of people just inferring this, and also some icons on the HUD in some gameplay, that we have a new squad mate that is Angaran named Jaal. This is a character that we see in this trailer that has a really cool eyepiece, very similar to Garrus. And so people have been calling this new Garrus. Nothing will replace Garrus for me. I don't know about you guys, but Jaal looks very, very cool. We've also seen through a variety of clips the additional squad mates in the game that aren't human, that didn't come on Arc Hyperion, and therefore they've been there in Andromeda for a little bit, as we know. So those are PB the Asari, Vetra the female Turian, and Drac the Krogan. Again, I do plan to go more in depth with each of those squad mates, maybe in separate videos, but most likely in one big squad mate video at a later time once we get more information. So that is essentially all we have in terms of main story for Andromeda so far. We just have some very, broad strokes in terms of what the overall arc of the story is going to be about. We have this antagonist, the Archon. We have a goal why we're going to Andromeda, and there's some kind of conflict in between. If you played the Mass Effect series, then you know that characters are central to the story. If you played Mass Effect 2 recently, you realize that the reason that game is so good is because of the large variety of cast and characters. And so I know a lot of people have been wondering, are we going to see familiar faces in Andromeda? And as far as I know, the developers in BioWare haven't exactly ruled it out. They haven't said no, which doesn't mean yes, but it also doesn't mean no. While that idea may be exciting, at the same time, we have to think realistically and logistically. This is a 600-year one-way trip to Andromeda. So certain species are just not going to live that long. That means Turians and Solarians, any familiar faces of either of those races, and humans as well, we won't see. However, Asari and Krogan, as we know, can live over 1,000 years. Krogan live a little bit longer, but Asari also live for a very long time. So in terms of seeing familiar faces, there would have to be a very specific explanation for that. Personally, I think there might be a small opportunity if there is any kind of gameplay sequence or cutscene before the initiative launches, in between the events of Mass Effect 2 and 3. We have to remember that. So these characters that we know and love are existing in that small time frame. We don't know if that's going to be in the game. If we have any chance of meeting anyone familiar, I think it would have to be an Asari or a Krogan, just because of their lifespan. I think more than likely we're going to get references to all our favorite characters through codex entries or through people that might have known them on other arcs, something along those lines. Maybe BioWare will sneak a familiar face onto one of the arcs that was in the first 2 games but not in the third, because that wouldn't make sense from a timeline perspective. Maybe they will do that, but don't expect that person to be a squad mate. Maybe we'll just meet them. This conversation may warrant a whole nother video, so I might make that on the channel. If that's something you're interested, look out for that. Anyways, guys, this is all we have in terms of main story for Andromeda. It's just what's been released by BioWare mixed in with my own thoughts. I'd love to hear from you all in the comment section below. What do you think Andromeda's story is going to be about? What is the main arc? What did the Ket want? What is going to happen with Arc Hyperion? Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Andromeda content. Again, all of this pre-release info leading up to the actual release. Then I'll be streaming a playthrough. I'll be uploading tips and tricks, guides, probably non-stop. So you don't want to miss that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.